Thank you for having us, brother. Yeah, I'm actually very interested in this topic, and I've gone down a few different routes in regards to this, and especially for my route would really be the whole Luciferian complex of the Saturn and how it's been demonized and what it really means, and if it's maybe a good energy that was kind of hijacked. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people feel like Saturn is like demonic energy, but I feel that it's just a planet that it doesn't have that demonic energy, but maybe it's been used for nefarious purposes in the past. So first of all, the whole Saturn thing, we have Saturn's return, right? And which is a dark night of the soul that usually happens towards the end of your 20s, in which you're astrologically Saturn is governing you, and all these dark elements of you are coming up to be experienced. So it's very interesting how these elite worship like Saturn, and at the same time, this is the same planet that has an energy of bringing up like deep underlying things and helping you discover and find out who you really are in this world. So just by hijacking the energy of Saturn, you're thereby influencing and manipulating people's self-discovery and for them to really become the people they need to become on this planet. And if you take it right at that moment, you have more of an ability to control them, right? So and you also mentioned that Zeus, the son of it was the son of Saturn, right? And Saturn, because if you look at all the pantheon of gods, and spoke about this in multiple podcasts with you guys, that there's this whole concept across all the world religions. Most of the gods that we think were the gods, like most people wouldn't know that Zeus had a father and all that stuff. They just think Zeus was the god. But what they don't realize is most of the gods actually had parents that the kids overtook and killed most of the times. That's
even
how
Odin in that genre of what we call heathenism or whatever. The same thing. Every narrative for every religion. Continue. I didn't mean to interrupt you, brother. Go.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. So there's this whole conquer mentality of overthrowing our own family and our own parents. So there's so much metaphors within this whole concept of just Saturn in general and planets, and that even ties back to, like you said, the Watchers from the Bible, right? But we neglect to also realize that in the Old Testament, right at the beginning, it says the Elohim created us in their image, and El is the god of Saturn. So we're saying the god, well, technically it's supposed to be a feminine term, so it should mean the goddesses of Saturn created us in their image and in their likeness. That's the literal translation in Phoenician Canaanite, right?
Well, and that's why in the Greek and in the Roman religions, it was the females who venerated Venus, not the males.
Yep.
So the schools for them both were both virgin women being priestesses. Go ahead.
Wow. So we're seeing it everywhere. And what I'm getting at here is always showing that, because I do see this whole like anti-Saturn kind of mentality. And it's really about who is using it. Just like the number 13, for example. Like number 13 is a spiritual number, but it's been hijacked. And what happens a lot is even like the all-seeing eye. Right? If you see the third eye, where do you see it the most? On the dollar bill. It's right there. They put it on top of the pyramid. These are very spiritual concepts that they've used. And the secret, the one of the secrets is definitely the law of attraction. But the true secret is, this awareness of sacred geometry, the way the universe runs, what the pineal gland is, how you can activate those powers. So they hijack all of the elements that can help us expand and realize who we are, and then make it their own. And Saturn is definitely one of those. And I want to open this now into this conversation. The vortex at the bottom of Saturn at one of the poles. Why are we even talking about that? There is something going on in Saturn, and it seems like there's some interdimensional portal or something coming out in some geometric form. So there's just so much happening, and it's right in plain sight.
That's the eye of providence. Is where that comes from. Is from the South Pole of Saturn, because on the North Pole we have a hexagon, and then and of course on the South Pole. And you're totally right. I think it's something interdimensional. And then when we think about,
it's an evolution. I think what we're seeing is a reflection of the evolution of the spiritual belief here on this planet. I think that the long game they're playing, and the people that are taking control of the narrative. There's the talk that the Great Pyramid at Giza, was this place that you were supposed to go into to help you spiritually. It was never a tomb, but it was hijacked by the priests, and the priests were the powers that should not be, that have been in charge and still are. So they've gone around systematically all over the world and hijacked everything that they can to continue bombarding all of us to keep us exactly where we are. I thoroughly believe this. So I would say, man, I bet they're all up to it. Every satellite up there.
So many stories can come out of this. Like just
Right?
to say that one, for example, that reminds me of the story of Lemuria and how this planet was a divine feminine energy planet, and then the Martians left Mars because they were creating an external Merkaba and utilized external technology, destroying their own civilization. They left, came to Earth, started mingling with the divine feminine, childlike consciousness over here, hijacked them all, and started going around the entire planet, claiming all the sacred sites and pretending it was theirs, and they're the ones that did it. You know, so now we have all these rulers, and that can even go into Egypt. Egypt was founded by the descendants of Atlantis. They built it, made a great civilization. Frequency began dropping from the planet. They couldn't use their pyramids anymore to sustain the power grid that they were utilizing on the ley lines anymore. They overpowered. They went down. These beings dispersed all over the world, including the Maya and other places. And then all of a sudden, other people came to these ruins, took them, hijacked them, claimed to be the priests and the pharaohs of this whole thing. And then they kept it the whole time, right? Up until now. And now these people claim to have the bloodline of these elite, and they think there's some like powerful ET race.
That's the Luciferian theory. They say it goes back to Lucifer the fallen when they came down, and Lucifer was actually the Elohim. Right. And that was that group. So they actually claim they're related to that group. They believe they are, and they're controlling the matrix.
Founder races.
Yeah, I would say that, Krita Mutwa touched on it. There was the two brothers, the Chittahuri brothers, and, they were reptilian-like, and then they left people in charge when, they phased out of this reality to go back to wherever they came from. So we can really, attribute, Lucifer really right to that point, to those Chittahuri brothers, because when they left kingships. And then from those kingships, of course, because we're, vibrating at such a low vibration that, there's fights in between, and, there's sects, and they break off, and there's wars, and secret societies are created, and then they carry forth that knowledge, the magic, I guess, the magical knowledge that they have and understand on who and what we really are. And, I think that's kind of really where it goes back to.
It's just an infighting monarchy, just like anything else. So then you're going to see that literally you can see the evolution of this planet. And we know now that every single ruler on this planet are cousins. They're all interrelated, including all the presidents of the United States, except for one. And that was not Donald Trump. He's related. Right. So what we have here is those people, I believe, like Neil said, they're not the actual ruling class. They're the ones who took it over after the ruling class had to leave, because if you look at all the religions, like Enki left and said, I will return, right? You had everyone doing that. You had, what's his name? Noah's father, Enoch. Enoch said the same thing. Enoch was said, I will leave, but I will return. You have the Japanese and their gods saying the same thing. The Chinese, the Indians, the Hindus say the same thing. So they had this supposed creator god who had to leave for some reason. And I think that was during the War of the Gods that you hear about in the Mahabharata and in the, what's the other one?
Book,
right? And I think that's the war that happened. I think they were driven off. Okay, this is my opinion from literature. I think they were driven off, but they said, I shall return. And they never did. Or if they did, they didn't. I think the quarantine happened. I think their asses got kicked out of here and the quarantine happened. They haven't been able to come back. But you still have the Orion Crusader group trying to keep that narrative and cultivate that narrative of you were a slave labor race. Because if they can Jedi mind trick the world into believing that, they can just show up and go, we're your creator gods, worship us.
True.
Hi, here we are.
So my theory is, I don't normally say my theories, but this is my theory of the creation of the solar system. And this comes from Sumerian tablets of creation, reading ancient scriptures, Egyptian hieroglyphs, some science-based stuff. But and even like the science stuff, I'm talking about the fact that they found an outpost, looks like an actual structure in the rings of Saturn that looks like that some race had some sort of structure there. Who knows what it is, but that was on NASA's own website. Right. So like it looked like that Saturn, Elohim were multiple races that are founder races that may have been a council of beings that got together in order to see different planets. Prometheus, such a great movie because it was like literally exactly what I feel happened. That there was these
great,
races,
wasn't it? Yeah.
This group of races that would go and seed different solar systems and create life, and they go all over and do that. And so whoever were in these in the Elohim, I don't know, that's open to speculation. And then they came into our solar system, created an outpost on Saturn, hence being the L,
duct line,
and they
the
used
line,
that,
right?
yeah, and they utilized that as the outpost in order to go to different planets and seed life, which is why we're finding now that Venus, like, most likely and conventionally is accepted now, that definitely had life in the past. Mars had life. Multiple moons of Jupiter probably had life.
Moldeck before it was destroyed.
Right. So we're looking like we're in a solar system that has been around for so long, and a lot of craziness happened in our solar system. And now we're like the only thriving planet. Let's just say the other planets could still be inhabited, but it looks like we're the only one thriving on the outside. So,
well, in this 3D reality,
that's an ecosystem.
Yeah, in this 3D reality. If you vibrate past this octave and get to the fourth, I'm told that there's people living here on Earth that are calling it Earth that are a little bit changed from us human, and because they're vibrating at a higher place that we can't see because they're out of our vibrational range to be able to perceive them.
Exactly. Our cats see them.